this week's edition of the Newsbreak Newsbreak. I'm Sophie Carsley. Starting with the latest updates from Washington, there are two new plans to end the government shutdown. The Senate is expected to vote on both plans, but there is also a new threat from the White House about who is and who isn't going to get back pay.
I follow the law, and what the law says is correct.
Some essential workers are still at their jobs while waiting for a paycheck, but the gridlock in Washington is affecting the nation's skies. Travelers could face more delays at major airports nationwide due to a shortage of air traffic controllers. The aviation problems come as Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says more controllers are calling out sick amid the government shutdown. Experts warn a shutdown would have a serious impact not only on federal agencies but also on key sectors like aviation, education, and healthcare. The former FBI Director James Comey is due at a federal court today outside Washington, D.C. Last month, Comey was indicted and charged lying to Congress and obstructing congressional proceedings, allegations he denies. His indictment comes after President Trump pressured the Justice Department to prosecute his political enemies. Comey was indicted by a newly appointed U.S. Attorney, Lindsay Halligan, a former Trump defense lawyer with no prior prosecutorial experience. Comey's indictment was a main topic of a debate in a fiery Senate Judiciary hearing on Tuesday with General Pam Bondi.
President Trump is the most transparent president in American history, and I don't think he said anything that he hasn't said for years.
Ahead of Comey's arraignment, the Department of Justice two assistant U.S. attorneys from out of state to work on the case. Today, the Texas National Guard troops are on the ground in Illinois. It comes as a response with President Trump ordering troops to Chicago to protect federal immigration agents with comments that crime is out of control in the city. Currently, soldiers are stationed at the Elwood Army Reserve Center, which is about 55 miles southwest of downtown Chicago. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson criticized the mobilization of the National Guardsmen, arguing the White House is escalating conflict to create a pretext to send in troops.
First of all, it's illegal, unconstitutional, it's dangerous, it's wrong. This is not about deportation. This is not about safety for this president. This is about authoritarianism. It's about stoking fear. It's about breaking the Constitution that would give him that much more control over our American cities.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker was also in the dark about the use of 300 Guard members from his own state and calling it federal overreach.
Deranged depiction of Chicago as a hellhole, a war zone, and the worst and most dangerous city in the world was just complete BS.
Both Illinois and Chicago are suing to stop the deployment of federalized National Guard troops. A federal judge is going to hear the case on Thursday. Meanwhile, a federal judge has temporarily halted Trump's attempts to send in the National Guard to Portland, but the president said again today that he will consider invoking the Insurrection Act if the courts block him. Clashes between anti-ICE protesters and law enforcement in both cities are adding fuel to the president's argument that the troops are needed. Peace talks between Israel and Hamas resumed in Egypt today to end the 2-year war in Gaza. Egypt Foreign Minister said the U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner will join peace talks in Egypt to reinforce President Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan. The deal includes the release of 48 hostages still kept in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian.
Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents because their parents wanted them just as much.
Egypt Foreign Minister also said the parties were discussing withdrawal of the Israeli forces from Gaza, full and unconditional delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza through the UN, and transferring control of Gaza to an international body. Many uncertainties remain over Hamas's complete disarmament, the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Palestine, and the future governance of Gaza. That's all I have for you guys today. I'm Sophie Carsley. Tune in next week for the latest news and stories.